What's up, everyone? Hope we are doing well. Welcome to the new office, by the way. We got a new setup here. You can see some Da Vinci prints. We got a bookshelf. Big thank you to my wife who basically put the majority of this together. But I have an office now, which is kind of cool. Finally got a place to sit down and chat and talk. I got my whiteboard here in the corner in case we need to bust that out for any of our future discussions. But today I want to talk about something a little different. Different than my office. I want to talk a little bit about loading. Specifically eccentrics. And so when you think about eccentrics, I think more times than not, people think about just lowering the weight slowly, right? So they think, oh, if I want to have eccentric overload, I just need to take any old weight and lower that weight slowly and I'll get eccentric overload. That's not necessarily the case. When we think about eccentrics, we should think about the amount of force we're producing relative to the total amount of force we could actually produce. So let me explain what I mean by that. If I have a 100-pound barbell and I'm going to do an RDL, and my max effort RDL is 400 pounds, and I lower that bar slowly with 100 pounds during an eccentric phase, I am producing less than 100 pounds of force, right? Because if I were to produce 100 pounds of force, that bar wouldn't move, it'd be at an isometric. If I produce 105 pounds, the bar would move upward concentrically. If I produce less than 100 pounds, like 95 pounds, I would then lower the bar slowly. So by lowering the bar slowly, we're producing less than 100 pounds, the weight on the bar. So that's not really eccentric overload. As a matter of fact, with a light barbell, true eccentric overload would come from actually lowering the bar fast and then rapidly trying to stop it. Why? Because what we're doing there is messing with physics a little bit. We have mass, which is the 100-pound barbell, but velocity, in this case velocity eccentrically, is really high because it's falling down. And then we need to stop the bar and reverse it back upward, so we have to produce amount of force, impulse over a very short period of time. In doing so, we manipulate the amount of force we need to produce, which is a lot in this case, right? So we produce such a lot more force than just the bar itself. Produce the force that's required to stop the bar, 100 pounds, but also the velocity at which it falls at. So that takes me on to my next thought, which is how do we incorporate slow eccentrics? And while I think this is beneficial is things like Cal Dietz have talked about, where we have really heavy eccentric movements. So heavy, they're almost like isometric movements. So we lower the bar slowly, say, not doing this in the RDL, by the way, but just for the RDL example, we're lowering like 390 pounds or 400 pounds, which is near our 1 rep max, and we're lowering it slowly. So we're now producing near 400 pounds. If we lower it slowly, it's almost like an isometric throughout different ranges of motion. Because you're going down slow, you almost have, like, again, 400 pounds with the stop of the bar, producing like 390. So the question is, how can we do these heavy eccentrics with, well, some support and assistance and greater stability? And again, give Cal Dietz credit because he made this very popular, which is the Hatfield squat. And Dr. Hatfield actually talks about this quite a bit. Great thing about a Hatfield squat is you can be in an upright position, you can go down slowly, your hands can be out for support, and you're trying to produce as much force as possible. While the bar itself weighs a lot, you're trying your best. Let's say you can squat 400 pounds, you might put 400 pounds with the bar, and you just lower it slowly. Now, with that being said, I have been experimenting with this, and I'm trying to get to the moral of this story here. The heavier portion eccentrics. Now, I've done a lot of rapid ones, anything of plyometrics and that nature is like a rapid eccentric force. But now I've been messing with the heavier loaded ones, like the Hatfield squats. And going forward, I want to keep you all updated on how that progresses. But one of the things I've noticed is that we can handle high intensity work, like heavy 1 rep max work, I've found personally, under 2 conditions more often than we typically can. One, the condition being that we're not getting super juiced up to do heavy work. I think the nice thing about a heavy eccentric is you're not getting hyped up about trying to lift it as much. I don't know why that's the case, but it seems like when we have a concentric lift, we see the challenge of trying to complete the lift, and we get super juiced up. And getting juiced up like that, really excited and hyped, takes a lot of energy out of you. So that's one thing. And number 2 is the fact that you have a hand-supported movement like a Hatfield and you have lots of stability allows you to not have to focus so much on the skill. I've noticed when I max out squatting, I spend so much mental effort on the skill of actually squatting. Am I braced? Am I in the right position? Is my feet in the best position? Am I set up? Blah, blah, blah. Take a deep breath, all that stuff, right? But when I do a Hatfield squat, if I get out of position, I have my hands for support. I can aid, I can assist, I can help me actually do the movement. In this case, I can really focus than using my legs to lower and lift it, versus if I'm doing a back squat, it seems like this all or nothing movement, right? We either lift it and succeed or we don't and we fail. And so that's why I really like this Hatfield squat, where the bar is on my shoulders and I'm going down slowly. So going forward, I'm going to be mixing in unnecessarily high, not volume, but exposure to these kind of exercises. Over the next 2 weeks, I'm going to try and spend a couple of days, 3 or 4 of them, where I emphasize this heavy eccentric lowering movement. And I'll report back on how I feel, how I move, how my legs feel, how I went about it. So part of these talks, I want to provide some training insights, because I do post a lot of training clips on Instagram and stuff that you guys might find interesting. So I want to give this opportunity here to talk a little bit about that. And so with that being said, that's kind of the goal going forward. I'm going to mix that movement in. It's not going to be the entirety of my training, but it might be a little bit more of my training than it had been in the past. And I really haven't done that kind of training before. So I'm excited to see how it goes, see how it progresses. I messed with it for a little bit, then I went on vacation, and now I'm back and I have a big chunk of period of time where I can do this. And I'm going to see how it works, how I progress. I'm going to be a lot of the judgment based on how I feel, but the goal of this, I will actually test my back squat, at least at some point in time during this process. Now my back squat's probably, I don't know, it's nothing crazy. So I'll let you know if it goes up, because I've squatted enough in my life to tell you if this is going to be, if I've got stronger or not. So I'm kind of curious to see how it feels, how it goes. I just wanted to share that with y'all here. I appreciate you guys. I hope you like the new office. Look at this cool place. As always, thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy.